Alright legends, welcome back to another Pokemon Fire Red speedrun episode. This is the Charizard episode. A big thank you to Lee Harrow for suggesting this one in the comments section. If you guys do want to suggest a Pokemon for me and have it named after you in the next run, please do leave a comment of what Pokemon you would like to see speedrun Pokemon Fire Red or Pokemon Sapphire or Ruby in the comment section below, and I will choose the best ones that I think will be a bunch of fun and name the Pokemon after you. So we obviously pick our Charmander, who's going to be our Charizard, defeat the Squirtle, and we actually get to Brock within 21 minutes, which was pretty decent. But the only concern that I had was I didn't think the level was going to be high enough because Charmander using a non-stab Metal Claw against a Geodude and an Onix wasn't exactly going to be the best strat. We managed to take out Geodude and get to level 15, but unfortunately for the chances of beating Onix, it just wasn't going to happen. In Gen 3, he always uses Rock Tomb if he's super effective against you. So I actually had to go and train up a level so that I was, level 15 going in the whole way. And we just had one run where Onix ended up missing all of his Rock Tombs. He literally hit 1 out of 5. So we got super lucky in the end there, beating him, and we evolve into Charmeleon, and pretty much from here on out, we have one of the easiest runs in terms of like luck and not being defeated for a really, really long time. So it's 31 minutes after we beat Brock, which is not the quickest in terms of, getting past Brock, but we get to Cerulean and we take on the rival, and as you can see, we've got Charmeleon, who now got taught Mega Punch and Mega Kick by the move tutors just outside of Mount Moon. It just really makes such a difference to have some really powerful moves this early in the game. Being able to take on strong trainers and actually deal out some strong damage makes such a difference. We take out Squirtle here. We obviously go up to Bill's shack and get the teleportation done and dissolve him from a Pokemon, get the SSN ticket. I decide to maybe train up as much as I can before I take on Misty, because I was really nervous about her using Water Pulse and being able to wipe us out in one hit. So we do as much training as we can in between the two routes below Cerulean City. So we get Charmeleon to a decent level before we take on Misty. We actually get super lucky here, so I was super surprised with this one. We go for a Mega Kick. We obviously one-shot Staryu. We're at level 27 now at this stage. And then we go for another Mega Kick, and we one-shot Starmie. So I got a huge bit of luck there. I honestly thought that we weren't going to be able to beat her, but to have that Mega Kick do the crit damage just really made all the difference and really set us up for the rest of the run, because we got down to the SSN, and obviously by that time we've had a few more trainers in between here and there, and we put on another 3 or 4 levels, and again we just have enough to take on his team. Really only levels up like 1 or 2 levels each, so it makes such a difference that you can just level up 5 or 6 levels to his only 1 or 2, and you can quite easily take this trainer out, which is good. So you can see there we caught a Spearow as well, which we do trade for a Farfetch'd, which I'm going to be doing in most of these runs from now on, because you can actually get Farfetch'd who can use Fly and Cut. And that's so handy, because then you don't have to worry about putting Cut and Fly on Pokemon that you don't really want to. Especially in these single Pokemon runs, it really just makes a difference when you can have a bit of a HM slave. So we take on Lieutenant Surge, and we get the job done pretty easily. I was thinking I was going to teach Dig to Charmeleon, because I normally do that in the Gen 1 runs when I use Charmeleon and Charizard, if he's a Charizard by that stage. But we didn't need to in the end. We got pretty lucky with the battle here. You'll see that he starts to go with the double teaming strat and try and make us miss every move, but we end up, I do stress out a bit here. He hits me with a few shockwaves, and I was thinking, geez, if I don't hit an Ember here, it's all over. But we managed to hit the Ember, get the job done, and get our 3rd badge. And we're actually tracking pretty decent, an hour and 54 minutes so far, and this is where the run really decides to speed up, because obviously we get our Charizard to Charmeleon to evolve into Charizard and learn Wing Attack. And we also, I haven't mentioned it yet, but we do have a special attack boosting nature. So that means that we've obviously got like Flamethrower, which is a stab fire type move, and then having the boosted special attack from the nature really helps. And one of the other things I do after we beat the rival here in the Lavender Tower is actually go to Celadon City and get the charcoal from the game corner. So not only do we have a stab boosted Flamethrower, but the Flamethrower is even more powerful because of the the higher special attack stat and the charcoal. So for the rest of the run, this flamethrower using Charizard's just unbelievably strong. It makes such a difference when you can add on just an either 10% extra, you know, it just really makes a difference, especially when you're in the Pokemon Leagues later on, and all those little things add up and make all the difference. So we obviously beat the rival in the Lavender Tower. He wasn't too much of a challenge, having like a 15 to 20 level head start on those Pokemon. But we then head over to Erica and get the job done there, one-shotting all their Pokemon. At level 41, we're 12 levels higher than her Mons with Flamethrower, which is a really strong attacking base move. And yeah, we've got our 4th badge, and we are really tracking for good time here too. 3 hours in, and we take on Giovanni. I do not like to skip the game corner. I try and get that done as quick as I can. Most of these runs I do it. I know in Gen 1 you can use the Pokédoll strat to skip the Lavender Tower and get by the Ghost, but I don't like to do that. I like to just play it properly how you're meant to do it. So Kangaskhan's such a cool sprite too. I really did enjoy doing the run with. If you haven't seen me use the Kangaskhan run, make sure you go back and watch that one. We obviously beat Giovanni, no problems, because we're still such a high level. 3 hours, 53 minutes in now, and we are due to take on Koga. And this was probably the first battle that I was really worried about, because I know his Pokemon can be quite defensive and tanky almost. Not worried about the coughing or anything like that, but when you're up against a Weezing and a Mark, and they're both at the level 40 mark, it can be quite hard. But you'll see here that Flamethrower from Charizard is just, at the moment, almost unstoppable. I knew he was going to go Hyper Potion, so I went for a Slash, which did a bit extra than I thought it was going to, and then the Flamethrower took him out perfectly, so that worked right into our favour. The coughing's obviously not going to survive the Flamethrower, so I'm just thinking about what to do here, whether I want to keep my PP or whatever, but we get the job done. Flamethrower knocks him out, and then Weezing cops a big Flamethrower as well, 1 hit, so that's pretty easy. I honestly thought it was going to be a lot harder than that. I was expecting it to be a lot harder. We then head over to the Silphco, where we take on the rival, and this again was where I was expecting the run to start. This is where the runs normally go south, where it's either Koga or the 5th rival fight. It tends to be where you just can't really knock out their Pokemon one by one anymore. But the reason this fight isn't too bad for us this time round is that Blastoise only has Water Gun as an attack. If he had Hydro Pump, it would have been a different story, but he only has Water Gun. So whereas if the Venusaur run that I did a couple of weeks ago, he had a Charizard with Flamethrower at level 40, which makes such a difference compared to Water Gun. It's a huge difference in power scaling. So the fact that we can get lucky against a Blastoise really makes such a difference here. So we're able to obviously take the rival out. Having the Paralysis did scare me a little bit. I thought we were going to be in a little bit of strife here with Alakazam, but you'll see here, I don't actually go for a Flamethrower. I just knock him out with Aerial Ace, because Alakazam's defense is just so abysmal. So we obviously get up to Giovanni again, and it's just not that challenging yet. We're still waiting to find somebody that can give us a bit of a shock. And I honestly got through, as far as the game I got through, I honestly thought I was going to have way more challenging battles with Charizard, but it honestly turns out that once you get past the first 2 gyms, I feel like, with Charizard, or the first 3, I suppose, it just becomes so open and easy for Charizard, especially having Flamethrower. And then once you beat Blaine, you can get Fire Blast. There's the Overheat TM as well. There's just so many options for moves. There's where you can teach him Fly, Rock Slide, Earthquake. He has an abundance of moves that he can learn. So we obviously beat Giovanni. We head over to Sabrina, and it's just, again, one of those ones where they just don't have any decent defense. So you hit him with Aerial Ace at level 50, and none of them are going to survive. I could have done the same thing with Venomoth, but I went for the Flamethrower instead. And then Big Boy Alakazam comes out at level 43, and they're going, oh, geez, maybe I'll hit him with a Flamethrower, maybe I'll try Aerial Ace, and still Aerial Ace at 60 base power. It completely knocks out Alakazam. So that was pretty handy. So we get out of there pretty quick. 4 hours and 48 minutes now. So we've, after an hour and 54 at the 3rd gym, it's only taken us about 2.5, 3 hours to get to Blaine, which is pretty damn quick. So we obviously, and he was the only one I was worried about in terms of being able to resist all my moves, but having Aerial Ace and having things like Rock Slide just makes such a difference. So I think that the best part about this run is I haven't really come up against anybody that's provided much of a challenge yet. It was just really, really surprising. I honestly thought it was going to be a lot harder. There was just some tense moments with a little bit of luck here and there, but the rest of the run, I just honestly thought was going to be a lot trickier than what it had been so far. But we obviously take out the Arcanine there with Rock Slide, and it's just all over Red Rover. We've got Fire Blast now to use at our disposal as well, which makes such a difference. Having that 120 base power fire type move definitely does get a look in the Elite Four later on. So we head over to Viridian City. We take on Giovanni, and again, I'll say it every time I play this, the fact that he doesn't have a Rhydon really bothers me. We take out his Rhyhorn. He sends out his other Rhyhorn, who should be a Rhydon. It's a one-hit KO with a Flamethrower, which just shows how weak he is. You know, at least a Rhydon probably might have been able to tank that hit. I don't know, maybe not, but yeah, make it a bit more challenging. That's such a bummer. I wish there was a setting where you could change that. But anyway, we one-shot the rest of his team with Flamethrower. It's all over. It's just so easy at this stage. And finally now we get to the point where we actually have to start figuring out some strats, because Blastoise now has Rain Dance and Hydro Pump. So he really has some good moves to use against us, whereas before he had absolutely nothing. So I try the Earthquake strat. He goes for a Water Gun. Maybe he doesn't have Hydro Pump yet. I don't remember. So now he's just using Rain Dance and Water Gun, and look how much damage he's doing there. That's insane. So we go for Earthquake, which we use from Giovanni's TM, which was handy, and then Growlithe comes out, lowers our attack again, but again, he still hasn't evolved. So once they evolve, his team does get a lot better. We go for Flamethrower and Execute, which is a nice little knockout. Then he brings out Alakazam, who's an absolute beast, but we go for Earthquake. I probably, hindsight 2020, should have gone for Aerial Ace, but still gets the knockout and the win anyway. So we get through and we get to the Elite Four. We load up on every rare candy that we were able to find throughout the game, and we actually hit level 70, which is one of the highest Pokemon levels we've had, hitting the Elite Four for the first time. And we take on the person that I thought I was going to have the most trouble with, which is Lorelei, but having that Rock Slide TM2 really just adds that extra layer of, it's not a TM, it's a move tutor move in the Rock Tunnel, which is pretty handy. But just being able to take on the rest of her team with Rock Slide, Flamethrower, sort of double team those moves really does help, because if you're just relying on Flamethrower, then you're going to run out of PP by the end of the Elite Four. And you'll notice here I haven't put on Overheat or Fire Blast or any of the other moves that I've thought about using. I thought, you know what, I'll keep his moves as they are, and then once we get further into the Elite Four and we've run out of like Flamethrowers, then I can add on like Fire Blast to restock the PP as well, because when I'm trying to speed through these runs as fast as I can, I don't actually go through and collect too many items that would be helpful, like ethers and elixirs and stuff like that, like hidden items. I don't really go around looking for those, because a lot of the time I know where they are. Like normally I'll pick up the PP. There's a couple of rare candies here and there. I do pick up those, but if it's just like ethers and stuff, I don't really bother, because most of the time you can just teach your Pokemon another move when you're later on in the Elite Four. So that's kind of the game plan that I go with, is I just decide not to bother wasting time, because I am still trying to beat the game as fast as possible. And you can see here, Bruno's just not a challenge, you know, just being able to Aerial Ace his whole team just pretty much makes such a difference. The only challenging part we did have here was Onyx at the end, because Earthquake doesn't one-shot, and it was just annoying because he kept healing up. And then I went for an Aerial Ace, which did absolutely nothing. So we went back to the Earthquake, and then the Earthquake didn't knock it out, and he hit a double edge, and it was just, I was like, oh man, I just wasted like another couple of minutes there, but nothing you can do about that. And we obviously go straight through to Agatha. We heal up, get ready for the fight, and again, it's just one of those ones where you kind of get through it pretty easy, because she's got a good team, but again, we're still 17 levels higher than the rest of her team. And we did not, again, I do repeat this each time we play, we did not go to 1, 2, and 3 Island as well, which you do have the option to do, but I obviously chose not to. And I do love that they gave you the option, because if you had to do it, I feel like your levels, especially for a single Pokemon run, would just be that little bit too high. Whereas if you're able to skip it, then you've sort of got the option to keep your levels that little bit lower. Because the Pokemon's over on 1, 2, and 3 Island are at a reasonably high, level. They're mid-30s to 40s. The only struggling part we had here, and we actually get really lucky here against Haunter, is he puts us to sleep and uses Dream Eater. So we had this trouble with Venusaur before. The Dream Eater strat is really, really good, and I only get stuck on Haunter. And look, he nearly beat... If he hit us there, it would have been all over. He wastes the Dream Eater, we go for Aerial Ace, and we knock him out. But if he'd been able to hit that last Dream Eater, we would have lost, which would have been a real shock to the system. I would not have been happy about that. We then take on Lance, or Lance, however you want to say it, and I do think that I am in a rock and a hard place here because my PP is starting to become an issue. He does go for Dragon Rage, which I was really surprised. I honestly thought he would have used like Hydro Pump. And we do actually have to do this fight a few times because you can see here he does do a few switches, which are really, really annoying because they throw off my game plan a bit. But we do get super lucky with the flinch from Rock Slide, which has been such a blessing in disguise. I always forget that Rock Slide has that flinching part of it. So when it does happen, it just sometimes can come in so clutch. So he brings back out his Gyarados. Obviously, his Dragonairs are not a challenge at all. We get the full restore in. Again, I don't like to use full restores too often, but when you're up against Pokemon in the Elite Four and it's a real challenging run, and I'm trying to get the run done as fast as I possibly can. I am one of those people that I wish I didn't use the full restore. But at the same time, it's like, well, if it's a normal Pokemon game and you're trying to beat it as fast as you can, you should be able to just use items. So that is the game plan there. The challenge is how fast I can beat it, not if I can beat it. So, yeah, we're trying to beat it as quick as we possibly can. So we take out Dragonite and the last Dragonair, and Lance is done. We have one battle left to go. Now, we do teach Charizard Fire Blast and Overheat for this battle. As you can see here, we've also chucked on Steel Wing because we'd run out of Aerial Ace. So it was really just a ploy to try and boost my PP more than anything else. I was umming and ahhing whether or not I wanted to use Fly instead. And I think Fly would have been a better strat against Blastoise, but we actually get a high roll on the Fire Blast. So we continue to use that against Rhydon, and again, he's got no special defense. So we knock him out. Alakazam comes out. I go for Flamethrower, knocks him out too, and we are looking pretty good here. We've got Flamethrower again against Exeggutor. I thought for a second that Arcanine had Flash Fire, and then he obviously lowered my attack with Intimidate. I don't know why I thought he had Flash Fire. I got him confused, but then didn't knock him out. He didn't knock me out, and I went, well, you know what? Perfect time to use an Overheat, which is even stronger than Fire Blast, and it knocks it out, and we win the run. So this is actually one of the quickest runs we've ever had. I don't think I can remember doing a run faster than this, which is really, really nice because Charizard is my favorite Pokemon. So let me know in the comment section below, guys, what is your favorite Pokemon? And yeah, who do you think we should do next? Because that was an amazingly fast run for me. I don't think I've ever got lower than 7 hours. So to go 6 hours and 14 minutes with a Charizard and to have him at such a high level is such a fun time. So make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon videos, and we will see you in the next run. Bye, guys.